he will survive, or is a little bit faster, then he will survive. Then he will pass his genes with the 6 or whatever fingers, pass it, and so living beings will mutate and adapt to their situation.
Have you heard of coelacanth?
I don't know.
A fish called coelacanth. Millions of years old. Still the same. Doesn't need to change. Didn't change. Bacteria. They are probably the most successful species. Do they need to evolve into a human? They don't need to. So this kind of belief that because of benefit, because of benefit things then evolve. No, there is a limit to how much you can change. There's a limit. Aren't we doing studies and crossbreeding with dogs?
No, it doesn't work.
Wait.
DNA doesn't match it.
Aren't we doing crossbreeding with dogs? With all this crossbreeding, have we made a dog into a zebra? Have we made a dog into an elephant?
But we made a wolf into a chihuahua.
No. Have we made a dog into an elephant by crossbreeding them? It's not going to happen. There is a species barrier. I mean, if you understand evolution, you would know that there is a barrier. You know, the studies with Drosophila, the fly. They did several experiments. The reason why they chose this because the life cycle is very fast, very quick. You can make several offsprings of this Drosophila. And they tried several kind of changes with half a wing, less wing, this Drosophila. You can't change into a totally different species. So there is a limit to how much you can change. So what we say, we can adapt because there is a flexibility maybe within our gene pool. But you can't then change human beings into an elephant.
Of course.
Yeah. Why can nature do that? Because it's the way the limitation is there within our genetic pool. So the idea that nature, which is blind, doesn't have consciousness. Nature, which does all of this, is not conscious, doesn't have a will. So how can it even direct anything? It's just an explanation of a process. It's nothing.
Mutations that human being or that animal will have an advantage over others. The other being dies and the other survives.
Look, when you say random mutation, most random mutations is not going to produce something called the active organ which is beneficial. It has to go through several processes and several steps.
Yeah, over time.
Over time. But in the interim, what was the benefit? There was no benefit.
They survived. That's the benefit.
No. When you have, imagine a species, for example, developing something like a hump here. It has no survival advantage, no benefit.
That's why.
If you think eventually this is going to be another arm which is going to be used, but this species doesn't know. You are assuming there is already a direction, a goal in plan. By who?
No plan. No, we don't assume.
Yeah. So why would that produce an advantage? A hump in an arm, which you think eventually is going to be another arm.
No. I never said.
Right. So when mutation produces this, it produces no advantage.
That's why it doesn't.
If it is not advanced, it's not going to develop.
Yeah. So then you cannot have another arm forming in the first place. Because to form another arm, it has to do several steps of processes, so eventually it forms another arm.
But it doesn't give an advantage. That's why it won't.
But I'm saying the concept that something's evolved because of mutation produces some benefit and then it passes on to the offspring and they then have another mutation and it develops. This is a scientific myth. This is a dogmatism belief that is being put forward to us to believe because we don't have to believe in a thing which eventually will say is God.
Even though that theory can be limited, I know because that is not, there is a lot of research about that. It's not anything new.
Respectful discussion.
What is the source of the change and in what extent is necessary to develop a real change. But I don't think it's justified for God. I mean, it's a limited theory. But
when you say God, you're automatically trying to debunk or refute or criticize something which has a baggage. I'm not even saying God, I'm saying this is a thing that exists eternally, an eternal, everlasting thing which is all-powerful because nothing gave its power.
Returning to the main point, like the problem is, even though that exists, in which extent, we need that. Like, if the science is able...
Your question about need?
if the science is able to fulfill all our needs, and actually it is, since the maybe second industrial revolution, like it's incredible. Like the nature is less, more and more discovered. You know, why we need that thing? Why we need about that?
Okay, let me answer that question first. Let me answer that question in a very general way. The misconception that often people have is when we are developed in our science and technology, we don't need God or organized religion. We don't need this kind of guidance for anything. But this is where we are mistaken. For example,
The problem, I think, because
I want to give you an example.
the only scope where we need some guidance, where we can think about some other thing about more than science, is in the social materiality, but not in nature, because the science has discovered a lot of the nature, and there is not a space for God.
Let me give you a scientific example then.
One moment. But it's on society where we cannot understand things. For instance, crisis and wars and so on. Is something has just opposite to the human mind, to humankind. So I think the only reason to think about the existence of God is the source, is the social materiality, which is so spontaneous than it's against the human. I don't know if you know what I mean.
But I want to give you an example which are based on our understanding of science itself. Yeah? And why science fails us to give the guidance that we need. Yeah? So this is a scientific phenomenon that we understand and we realize, but we don't seek guidance from science from it, or even if we know, right? Just to quickly wrap this up then on this particular example. You see, according to science, we understand a lot of hygiene materials and matters of hygiene.
Mansur, is it right to just thank you?
Hygienes, right? Right angle. Hygiene. We live in, at the moment here, we are here in Britain, right? Seems to be a very civilized society in science and technology and culture and so on, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Okay. When men urinate, they urinate usually standing. No. Why? Because most of these public places, or even in toilets, where we are told to, in our culture, in our particular way of living, to urinate standing. And what happens? The ones which are designed only for urine. So you don't sit on them. The urinals, you don't sit on them, do you? They're designed to urinate. No, you can't sit on them. They're not like commodes. They're not like commodes, right? Sorry to use this very mundane example, but it's important to highlight this point. So when you urinate, when man urinates standing, do you know what happens? The urine spray comes all the back on your body.
I mean, I don't know how you urinate.
No, I don't urinate standing, okay? I don't. This is already demonstrated by several experiments with UV light, where it can show that urine with a fine spray comes to all your body. Very unhygienic. But it seems to me this is in our NHS hospitals and various bodies and organizations and institutions. This is how men's urinals are designed. Did we not know that? We do. So contrast this with the teaching of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in Islam, right? He said, when you urinate, you have to urinate when you're sitting in a place where, so it doesn't come back to you basically. Now, it is very mundane teaching for you, for example. Oh, do I need divine guidance to tell me how to actually urinate? But if you think about it, without technological advancements, we still don't know which is the best way to urinate hygienically, even today. Yeah, it's not laziness. We don't practice it.
I don't think there's a problem.
No.
No one is dying for that.
It's not about it's not about dying. It's about the best way to do things. Very unhygienic this way. Okay. I'm going to go even one step further. I apologize. I'm going to go further. Wait. I apologize. But I'll show you the Islamic teaching first. Islamic teaching is when we defecate, we clean it, and we should also wash it with water. If there's no water around, of course, you clean it with stones, whatever you have, materials, but we don't just leave it there. Now think about it. If someone vomits on your hand and you just wipe the vomit with a tissue, is that clean? In this country and elsewhere, we, with our technological advancements, we don't usually wash after we go to the toilet with water. There are toilet rolls being used to wipe. It doesn't clean it. So, with our technological advancements, where are we failing? Religion, we said, well, why do we need God? These mundane things or everyday living have been already explained by the prophet of God, the messenger of God, an agent of God who tells you how to live our life. This is just a mundane example. I can tell you about how to run a society, how to run crime and punishment system, and how to have a governance. Even that is included, because do you know what's killing our societies? Usury and interest. Is it best for us? It's not. It's not. But religion, Islam tells us no. God declares, and His messenger declares war on those who use interest. No interest whatsoever.
The source of the capitalism. Without private interest,
whatever ism.
There is no.
Look.
There is nothing.
No. In Islam, when Islam was implemented, we didn't need to be capitalist or communist or a socialist, but it thrived. It became the forefront of civilization. Look. I would like to. I will. No. I will do. I apologize. I would like to tell you, even the Lord of Bath had to go to the Islamic civilization in the Middle Ages and come back and establish one of the universities there. Right? One of the universities. When the Islamic Spain had overground lighting system, underground switch system, here in Britain, the Queen of England did have a bath for a month maybe. That's how bad it was compared to civilization we're talking about. So when Islam came, when Islam came, it brought about a revolution in science and technology. He's just a heckler. You can ignore him. When Islam came, what were the Muslims? One moment. What were the Muslims doing? Do you know what were the Muslims doing? They were starting afresh. Say, look, what do we know so far? Okay.
So you said the Muslim religion.
No. What I'm saying, when you said we don't need religion, we don't need God, what's the need for it? This is partially my focus on when we do have this need understood. Look what happens. When Muslims were there, they looked at the reality. What do we know so far? Look. There are so much works by the Greeks that we don't know the knowledge they had. They started learning Greek, translated. The Hindus, so they started assimilating, collecting information, learning, and then they started contributing their own. So one of the reasons why you as a medical student would appreciate both of you, the reasons why in the Middle Ages, here in Europe, the canon of Ibn Sina, the canon of medicine, went through hundreds of years as a textbook, more than 17 editions, is because that was the thing, of knowledge about medicines and instruments for surgery and so on and so forth. They were developing, they were contributing. We have somehow become very lazy. That's why you don't see Islam as it was before. So my point, that's what I'm refuting and debunking. No, I am debunking this concept. Islam encouraged, because of that you had the Renaissance in Europe. If it wasn't because of Islam, okay.
Slow down the scientific.
You know what? This is one humble request.
Burn the library.
Study. Islam never burned the libraries. Libraries of Islam were burnt, and the Tatars and the Genghis Khans or others, when they invaded Islam, they invaded and they destroyed. Some of them, look at the irony. Calculus. You study calculus? You study calculus in mathematics. How is it possible? Two individuals at the same time, here and there, coming up with the calculus, saying this is how calculus works. When we know the libraries were destroyed, books were in the water, but not all of them destroyed, some of them survived. some people were very dishonest by taking this knowledge and say, it's my own. Many contributions like this.
Which one would you accept?
How do you explain two people at the same time coming up with calculus theories at the same time?
You are exactly.
You can think. My humble suggestion to you is about the Renaissance that happened in Europe. And if it wasn't their contact with Islamic civilization in Spain and Morocco and places like this, would Europe ever come out from the Dark Ages? Remember, Dark Ages was only in Europe, not in the Islamic land. We were the peak of civilization.
Yeah, until you forbid science.
Who forbids science?
Islam.
No.
Your prophet said
Islam.
science is bad.
Sorry.
You only borrow the science.
Did you hear what my friend said? Islam, if the Prophet said science was bad, which he didn't, you can't find a single quote that he said so. You're welcome to research it and find out. And when you find out, as you can see, I come here in the park quite often. Now, what you'll realize, Prophet encouraged. He says, it is mandatory, obligatory for every Muslim, male and female, to acquire knowledge. There is also a weak hadith which says, even if it's going to China, seek knowledge from there, right? Even if it's a weak hadith. We don't accept that, but I'm saying obligation of knowledge. Do you know our first guidance from God? Was it belief? It was iqra, read, recite.
Listen to this.
Yeah, and God says in the Quran that He taught you by the pen. So Islam always encouraged. Look, Islam always encouraged learning. That is why when Islam thrived in the first few centuries, they were naming the stars. They were discovering instruments of optics, on surgery. I'm not saying everything, but they were developing. Why were they developing? Because the Quran says, travel along the land and inside the earth and see how God originated the creation. Travel and see. Don't you see? Don't you reflect? So always an encouragement. In fact, God reprimands us for not reflecting on the creation of the universe.
They said science is bad.
Those who said so, we oppose them because they're the ones who brought device. Yes, I agree with you partially because they became preoccupied with haram and women and wine and away from the teaching of Islam. And that's why Islamic civilization crumbled, one of the reasons. When they stayed away from the interest of knowledge that Islam encourages, and they became... No, that wasn't radical Islam. That was lazy Islam. They did not encourage the thriving of the society and progression. Rather, they stayed in their harems, haram, and had women and wine, and that's it. They corrupted the people, and the people corrupted them, and the society, Islamic society, crumbled.
Yeah, but you see, the point is that there is no scientific reason to behave as you are saying. Like here, the people is greedy, the people is ambitious, the people and so on. And this is the source of the capital. And this is because that what you're saying is that people should behave in one way, but it's not. There is not any scientific reason for the people to behave. You know what I mean? So it's like
when you say scientific reason to behave, look, science.
No, without pollution. You eat this nice food. How are you
Do you know Islamic teaching on environment?
Yeah, but the problem is, okay. Sorry, I hope that helps. I had to go. We don't know another way. I don't even know what's going on. To produce. We don't know another way to win.
Yes, we do. There are alternatives which I'm offering now, right? Which the reasons why we have not immersed ourselves in this understanding is because the society that we live in has rewritten the histories of Europe and various other places. For example, it's not conspiracy. Now, let me tell you what you can research yourself. Europe, if you study the history that is taught in schools, the Greek civilization, the Roman civilization, the ancient Chinese civilization, and so on, Islamic civilization, how many pages are worth reading? Not worth reading. How many pages are actually taught in the books of history of the civilization? And what are they taught? They don't teach. In fact, one way of masking is saying, Avicenna did this, Ibn Rushd, Averroes did this. Do you know what Avicenna was and Averroes was? These were people who were in Islamic civilization. Ibn Rushd, not Averroes, not Avicenna, Ibn Sina. So when Ibn Sina wrote his Canon of Medicine that went through hundreds of editions as a scientific medical textbook in science, right? Right? Listen. But when people hear, oh, this is Avicenna, oh, so this is what's it called?
That was before.
Why he was persecuted?
Avicenna. You think, oh, Avicenna looks like a Greek name. We undermined our understanding of the Islamic contribution. So, no.
But your main point is like,
I'll make my final point.
we should behave in some way because it's like it's inane to all the materiality. So like the society is corrupt, and we have to reconduct the society through the learnings of some kind of religion. And what I'm saying to you is how and why is not now, and what is the source of corruption? And is the other thing is better?
Got your question.
We are not being-
Got your question. And I will offer the alternatives.
like some anarchist utopia or something.
Islam was not a model of utopia. Islam existed, practiced, demonstrated. Islam has a history of demonstrating its practical application.
Islamic countries there is no capitalism.
Wait.
Islamic mode of production.
The framework that you're coming with now is the modern situation of Islam in today's life. What has happened is people have abundance within Islamic countries, and you don't see the fruits that Islam had when it's implemented. So when can I make this point? Right.
Handicapped.
If you look at the alternative, look, Islam says no to usury and interest, right?
But with
Now think about it.
and interest, how we can produce?
Okay, think about it.
Where are you going to? Where are you going to work?
Wait, one second.
You work?
One
You
second.
work
One
without greed.
one
You
second.
work because you want to be like God.
Why not?
Yes.
Why not? Why not?
Give the people.
Slow down. Let's look at it. What is the best way to live? Should we live in a reality in which people exploit your greed? Or should we live in a society in which... Wait. The current society, the system, is based on usury and interest, right? No doubt. It's in Muslim countries too. But what I'm saying, at one point in time, we can demonstrate that this interest-free system was in existence, was practiced, was implemented, and how was the society then? So if I were to show you, look, the people, how they were changed then, we can do the changes again. If only we follow this particular ideological concept. We follow an ideology today, you're saying we can't help it. In a society, you're saying we can't help it, but I'm saying no, we can. Are you saying rape happens and we just accept it? No, it's bad and we need to find the best solution for it. Do you agree?
What's wrong with interest?
Do you agree? Do you not agree? An ideological solution and a practical solution in which rape can be totally eliminated or even minimalized is better than one which has saying we just live with it. Would you not go for the best solution?
This is not the point.
No, the point is...
And also, I have to say to you that the ideology doesn't come from the air. Doesn't come from...
No.
The ideology is the reflection of the materiality relation.
The teachings, look, you can have a teaching from a particular individual who gives you and says, yeah, it makes sense, I'm going to adopt it. Just because he's black or white or Spanish or Italian, doesn't matter. A good teaching can be accepted and implemented. We should not be racist or somehow nationalist. Do you agree? Do you agree with this principle? Good. If we agree with this principle, what we are saying is Islam, even as a solution system, it offers an alternative system of living which we consider to be the alternative, the way of living. But if you
discriminates people, I
wait,
discriminates women.
there seems to be a lot of misunderstanding about Islam. Now, there seems to be a lot of misunderstanding.
Let them talk.
Look,
Yes, I'm a moderator.
when you have a system of usury and interest, do you know why? Can you not heckle, please?
Are you moderate?
Do you know why people give interest?
Calm down then, innit?
No, I don't say that.
Imagine now you're my friend.
Don't get involved.
Well, he's my friend. Okay, we are friends, right? I'm in need of £20,000 and you got millions. Nothing. I need this for a project and I don't have the money. Now I'm really in need. You as a friend of mine will be showing me empathy and sympathy, mercy, friendship, and kindness, and compassion. I can name so many good qualities. You would say, yeah, take it. Now, but what if you said, look, okay, here is the £20,000 and I expect to give me £40,000 in return. Now, this will be coming from not looking at that I need something. You are exploiting my vulnerability, abusing me in my...
Would you rent your home without a rent?
Listen.
Would you rent
my
your
friend, I know you're happy.
without a rent?
Okay, I'm going to ignore him if you don't mind. Now, they are so jealous. When a Muslim
You give
speaks,
your home
he's
without
so
a
jealous.
rent.
Why do you have
to?
to-
Rent for your money. The interest is a rent for your money. Would you give your flat without a rent?
Thank you. So now, the vulnerability that I had is something that you know. So instead of being kind to me, showing me some sympathy, empathy, compassion, generosity, goodwill, friendship, you became a greedy individual. You want... Wait. I need to finish my point and you understand. Remember what I said before? You have millions of pounds. You can just give £20 to a beggar and it's not going to minimize your wealth at all. Not to anything. It's not going to... That's what I'm framing this framework question. If you are rich like this, nothing. But if having that wealth, like the banks do, and then, listen my friend. And then you say, I demand extra £20,000 in return, you have just abused me in my vulnerability. That is your greed. Now, someone like you demand £20,000 more, and you say,
So forgive me, sister. Yeah?
this one, I just borrowed you some money, just give me exactly £20,000. Who is a better person?
The fact of the matter is
You or her?
It's not a morality problem.
It is. Society without morals is going to go to its doom.
They don't know.
Society needs morals.
Morality is
Arabic.
Whose moral is better?
Understand that.
Would you buy your product from your shop?
Yours.
have any sense.
Because you're not showing greed. You're not abusing me.
That's his business.
Okay, let me tell you one example. You're a poor farmer. You want to have a tractor, right?
Yeah.
So you go to the banks for investment.
I shouldn't go to the banks because they're criminals.
Because they have money.
Because they're exploiting our...
Oh, listen. Because they have money, you go to the banks.
Okay, remember the projects in the future. You know, medical students become experts in science and really scientists, inshallah.
Okay, let's go back. You want to have a tractor that you can farm. So you go to the rich people.
Yeah, say come to me. I have enough money. I'll give you the tractor.
And then 20,000. And he say, give me 25,000 in return. That's the cost for the
Now, what do you
investment.
think? Does this
You
make
buy
sense
your
to you?
tractor,
Taking some and leaving some?
you make a
This
lot
sounds
of
like
profit.
something else.
Another
Problem is, sister, is there's many.
No, I'm not the bank. So you came to me, I was rich, had enough money, you're my friend, I give it to you. I don't become jealous because you became profitable after that and you became wealthy, because if I become jealous of you, then I still have a problem. So initially I had, remember, if I want money back extra, I'm greedy. If I become jealous of your profits, then I become jealousy. So all the traits that I'm demonstrating are bad traits of a human. A good traits of a human is what Allah, our God, wants us to be. Get rid of our bad traits. Be kind, be generous, be compassionate, be merciful, be forgiving. But what you're saying is,
the world is not working like this. Even the production of commodities is an investment. It's taking profit from the people. It's working. So
that's your model. I am saying your model is worse. Your model today is not worse. The model of the biggest killer in any country's GDP or their wealth and so on is usury and interest. Whole country is enslaved by IMF. Whole country.
Interest is within the simple production of commodities. Since
I have a better solution. Interest free.
profit, without profit, there is no production.
It's not about doesn't work. It did work and it will work. So when
Without interest,
Okay, look,
there is
look.
no profit. Without profit, there is no incentive to produce. So the prices and the profit, there is not a correlation.
What did he
There
say?
is not.
He said, this is not alcohol, this is intoxicant. It's the same thing. He was ignorant. Now you see. Okay, tell him no problem. Say no problem. You've done me a bigger favor. Say you're right. It
Accountant.
doesn't only ban alcohol. It bans drugs. It bans everything.
good. So you know the language. Now talk.
This is the problem.
And we enjoy your discussion.
The money, I'm borrowing you. I don't. I can't get it. They're weakening the iman. They're weakening the iman. Okay. Now they're weakening the iman. They read the hadith. They don't understand. Like for example, why have to be compounded?
Why have to be compounded?
They don't understand it. So they, by today's standard, because today's standard is different. Shall I tell you something? Shall I tell you something amazing? I was talking to Shada and this came up. What do you think there is?
If you give somebody
Why?
there's also
Yes.
risk.
Why would the sister?
Just won't spend it on good things.
So you doctor that
Risk, yes, there's a risk factor, but risk does not eliminate the interest.
to a man, grown man, why would you?
Risk, interest does not eliminate the risk.
Today,
Real interest is there. Now hear me out. The interest is there
buy milk.
to
I don't get
make
enough
more
milk.
money out of the
I said,
million of the
brother,
people.
just to go in and milk your camel, you could come back dead, you die. Some bandits.
That is going to give you a profit.
Wild.
No.
What no? You produce because of profit.
If you are going in the desert,
You didn't get my point. I said to you, you hear me out.
Yes?
Without interest,
Yes, yes.
you can invest the money in the market. Look at
back in the
that
Roman times.
share market.
You're going,
I have 100,000
no
pounds.
guarantee you can be saved.
I'm investing with
So the
Google.
fact
I'm investing with Apple. I'm investing with BP.
as a father, you as a mother, if you're a mother,
One in the cheap price,
and you have a
selling
child,
in the higher
yeah,
price.
you don't
understand?
know in this day and age back then, you don't know how when
I
you will
have
die.
to. That
You don't know, because today it's very easy, ambulance,
from the bank,
hospital,
bank
everything.
give me the
Back then, you could get disease like this and die.
I have the money.
Use the money. They can
Maybe
use
you're
it to
25.
build
If
things.
you don't
25
borrow
is
the
not
money,
dead.
you
Yes
have
or
your
no?
own capital. In order to invest that money, why you compound that capital
You want to wait?
with the
Actually, I'll take
interest
it to your sister if you have
for
one.
lend
Sorry.
the money?
Yes,
Answer
please.
this.
Sorry, I make you take it out again.
With your money, you can raise a business, and then you are going to get a profit because if there is no profit, there is no business. So if I
Thank
get
you.
the money for you, obviously,
I think you don't get it.
He's not getting it.
some
Can you watch this now?
He's coming the risk element. Risk,
No, it's enough.
Not just the risk, not just
listen to this. Hear me out.
It's
I
a
have
cost of
100.
opportunity.
He has the money, capital. He has the capital.
They build together.
Yeah.
Somebody has
Okay,
the
good.
idea. The
So,
other,
sister,
the other guys
you understand,
come
yeah?
together they make a business.
So the fact of the
Both
matter
get
is, look,
money.
I'm a man. My daughter, who is young still, yeah?
The other guys
If she's 12, 13, 14,
The other pays him
you have
You
yeah?
took the risk.
Today's
You have the
standard.
capital.
No, you're that's young in this way.
You make profit.
I know. If a man has no money, if this man has cancer,
Okay, okay. Let's, you see, I can see that the income.
Don't say that ever again.
No. He can have his opinion. Don't become personal.
Profit is not the same thing.
That's fine, don't worry.
die when you're 10, you die when you're 50,
Take it back. Don't say interest.
Okay, come on.